So you want to study abroad this year and you have really tried your best to get scholarships, funding, but you've not gotten all the cash that you need. In today's video, I'll share with you other ways you can fund your education abroad this year without getting scholarship. Hey, my friend, I see the struggle, after you've tried all your best to get into school, you've gotten some funding, maybe you didn't get at all, and now you feel like, man, how am I going to fund this education after putting in all this work to get to the point where I have admission? So that's why I'm sharing today's video, because a lot of us think that if we couldn't get scholarships, there's no other option out there for us to fund our education. So I'll share a couple of options in today's video, and hopefully one of these will be helpful for you. So let's jump right into it, okay? Option one is assistantship. So you can become a graduate assistant, teaching assistant, research assistant. And for many people, these assistantship roles come with their admission offer, and that is great. But don't let that discourage you, because even if you didn't get an assistantship position, with your admission offer, you can apply for them. You can apply to different graduate assistantship roles in your department, even from your home country. You should start applying today. And I've done a couple of videos explaining to you how you can get graduate assistantship roles, even if they didn't come with your admission offer. Another thing you can do to get GATARA positions is to email a lot of professors. Basically, tell them about your experience, tell them about what you can do for them, and ask if you can become their GA or their TA. And many of them will say yes, or they'll connect you with their friend who may be looking for someone. So please try this, and you can get this from your home country. You don't have to wait to get to your destination before you start reaching out to professors. So one way you can fund your education is by getting assistantship positions. And if you get a couple of positions within, like, say, a couple of teaching assistant roles, it adds up, and you can be able to pay your tuition or even your living expenses if you get a lot of a few good TA positions. So another way you can fund your education is through on-campus and off-campus jobs. So this one, please pay attention to your visa specifications and whatever is specified on your visa, on your F1 if you're in the US, or on your Canada study permit if you're going to Canada, or whatever country. Just make sure you pay attention to how many hours you can work, what kind of jobs you can do. Some countries you're unable to work off campus. Some countries it's like you can work anywhere. Just make sure you pay attention to what's stated on your visa, on your visa documents. But one other way you can fund your education is by working on campus or working off campus. A lot of on-campus jobs, from my experience, don't pay a lot, but there were some that I saw when I was in school, and they pay quite well per hour, but it all depends on the skills that you have. So kind of go now that if you've got an admission offer from a school, go to their student job sites, ask them for that. They will share it with you, and start looking out for the kind of skills that earn pretty well, and maybe start learning some of those skills. But many students actually survive by doing a lot of these on-campus jobs. So even if this may not cover your entire tuition, you can pay your living expenses with these jobs. So you'll be schooling, of course, you'll be going to school, to classes, but you'll also be working when you're not in class. So these ones also add up. So try to have this on your radar, that you would apply to a lot of on-campus and off-campus jobs that pay pretty well per hour. So another way you can fund your education is through tuition reimbursement. So this one is not quite common, and a lot of people don't know about it, but here's how it works. You can, once you get into school and somehow you pay your tuition, maybe that's through student loans, or you borrowed from a friend, or you got some scholarship to cover the first semester. If you get an internship and a full-time offer with a company that offers tuition reimbursement, by the time you start working with them, or even for some of them, even before you start working with them, once you sign your offer that you will work with them, they will reimburse your tuition. That means they will give you maybe $10,000, $20,000, and they'll basically say, hey, don't use this to repay your student loans. If you took student loans, if you paid out of pocket, they'll be like, oh, just for some of them, actually, you can just use the money for whatever you want. But if you also borrowed from your friend, you can repay your friend with this tuition reimbursement. So there are companies all over the world that offer these tuition reimbursement programs, and I've been part of, I know at least a few of them very well that do this. So look out for such opportunities right now, even before you get into school. Just Google a lot of these things and you will find some of these companies that offer tuition reimbursement. Of course, you have to like get a job with them. You need to apply, do the interviews, and once you get the job, they usually will tell you that you qualify for tuition reimbursement. So that's another way you can fund your education abroad. So another way you can fund your education and life abroad is through internships. So for those people that are doing a 2-year program, in between, between their first and second year, you have a couple of months during the summer to actually do an internship. So if you do an internship, that's great. Many internships actually pay really well. When I did my internship between my first year and my second year, that was like, when I got the first paycheck, I'm like, oh, this is good. This is really good. I'd never gotten that amount since I stopped working and I came to the US for school. So internships are so important, and the earlier you start applying for internships, the better for you. So get internships, and here's the gist. For some people, after doing their internships that's after their first year, some companies usually would say, hey, if you're going back to school for your second year, if you want to turn this into some sort of co-op type of program, that's also fine. Basically, what this means is, let's say you have an internship for 3 months, and at the end of the 3 months, you're going back to school to complete your second year, right? Some people have these arrangements with the companies they intern with, where their internship will end as planned, but when they get back to school, they would also be working for that same company for maybe 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, and so it becomes like a co-op type of thing, where you school and also kind of still work with them, still help your manager with something. And that's an arrangement that's really good. But for that one, you need to first get the internship and then have that conversation with them at that point. But I know a few people that's how they were able to pay their tuition. So it pays that well, such that you can pay your tuition after, of course, saving for some months. So try that out and make sure you start applying for internships right now. There are many internships that open up around now. Start trying it out, start speaking with people, and even when you start school, that's a great time to start applying for these internships. So that's another way you can fund your education abroad. So another way you can fund your education is through loan forgiveness programs. And wait, if you're an international student, you don't qualify for a lot of student loan forgiveness programs. So that's really not what I'm talking about, because those ones are government owned and government run. But the loan forgiveness programs I'm talking about, some schools, a few schools, I have to say, a few schools offer loan forgiveness programs to their students. But for you to qualify, of course, you must have taken student loans. And the way this works is, you've taken student loans, you've graduated or close to graduation. Let's say you're going for a 2-year program, you're starting this year, and towards the end of the program or closer to your graduation, your school will talk about loan forgiveness programs. And this is basically when the school helps you pay your loans. That's what it is. But for you to qualify for this, many of these schools have very strict eligibility requirements. You need to not have a lot of cash or a lot of assets. You need to what else? You need to work in certain industries. Like, you can't be going to a very high paying industry and you want loan forgiveness. So if you want to work in a very high paying role, you may not qualify for loan forgiveness. But the important thing is to check with your school. Once you get in, you should check with your school if there are such programs for students that are taking student loans or that are funding their education by borrowing from other people. Okay, so if you want me to share other ways you can fund your education that are not scholarships, other options for you out there, not scholarship, let me know in the comments. Just put a question or just tell me you're interested. Comment interested below and I'll share more options like this. But if you found today's video useful, give it a thumbs up, okay? That's the only way you can support me and let me know that you find this valuable. And if you'd like to get more videos like this, you know what to do. You know what to do, okay? You should subscribe and be the first to know when I post videos. Hope you liked this, and I'll see you in my next video.